was a clear vision. It was a vision of my mother, who was an educator. My mother was, I took the school board on the 29th of December of last year, decided to ask me to be the superintendent. I called my mother up that night, and she had just turned 93. And so we talked about it. She was, of course, proud mother and that sort of thing. And then, so I took the job on Monday, January 3rd, this past January. On January 5th, I got a call from my sister saying that the medical people had given my mother only a few days to live. And she lived, my home was about 2.5 hours from here driving. And so I drove up on Thursday and then came back Thursday night because I had to work Friday with the intent of going back on Saturday. But around 4:15 Saturday morning, my sister called and said my mother had passed. And so in her passing, I accepted the vision that she had for educating all kids in the state of South Carolina. So I didn't start off with the idea of becoming a superintendent, but it's something that sort of like this visionary thing. And my mother was really a strong lady of faith. So that's I guess I'm compelled to do this.
It's the Logan Power Show. Inspirational and motivational. It's the Logan Power Show. Informational to help you grow. Logan Power Show.
And now the host, Calvin Logan.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Logan Power Show. It's me, your host, Calvin Logan, and I thank you for a special episode here, the Logan Power Show, where we have an honor and a privilege to talk about things that are going on when it comes to education. And I have an honor and privilege to bring on with us. He is the superintendent for Charleston County School District, going his second term, the one and only Mr. Don Kennedy. How you doing today, Mr. Kennedy?
It's going well. Thank you very much. Hope yours is also.
Yes, sir. No complaints here on this side. We're taking it one step at a time. Just want to get to some really quick things to discuss. It's Charleston County School District. Just something in general. We want to focus on how can Charleston County School District sort of be competitive, be one of the most competitive districts compared to anybody in the country. What is your your plan to sort of combat those things?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for inviting me to the Logan Power show here. So that's quite an honor to do so. So yeah, we need to be one of the most competitive school districts in the country and in the state. And the way I think about education, it goes back to my mother. It's not. I don't see it necessarily as a competition. When I was in the military, I was in the Air Force. We had this quasi in the Air Force competition with other services, the Army and the Navy. But when we came together for do the mission of the country, we were all one team. And so that's how I view education, that we need to be able to collaborate across districts, across states, to make sure that as a nation, we're doing what's best for all of our young people, because that is the future for the country, our young people. So first of all, I want to make sure that people understand that I don't see it as necessarily as a real competition, but there are some things out there that we need to make sure that we stay up to speed, as opposed to be necessarily getting ahead of others. One is making sure that we understand what the needs of our students are. Those needs really became more acute during the pandemic, so we need to pay attention to that. And as you know, and your listeners probably know, across the country, certainly this is the case here in Charleston, we have some significant problems with teacher retention and recruitment, and we need to really focus on those areas so that we can make sure that we have the right teachers and the right leaders in our K-12 systems to support our students.
Absolutely. That's coming to my second question. As we know, since the pandemic, teacher shortage has been an all-time high, and we're trying to address some of those concerns so that our teachers will make better leaders for our young people. As being the pioneer leading the people, what are sort of your plans to address those teacher shortages? Because we see certain states across the nation, some states are making some trajectory, change some things of what's required, what we're looking for, uh, how to get them in, how to retain them. So, what is your goal and plans to address this teacher shortage across Charleston County School District?
Yeah, first of all, we have to stay within the parameters of the state laws of South Carolina. So certainly we're doing that. But I do talk with teachers and teacher groups a lot to make sure I understand what they're struggling with. Several things. One, let's address pay. We know that pay is a big issue for teachers. We have far too many teachers having to hold down part-time jobs, those sorts of things to make sure that they're able to maintain a standard of living. Here in Charleston County, it is a really, really expensive place to live. I've lived in a number of places in the country, and this is really high rent area. And so we need to pay attention to that. So we have Bill Brigman, the district's chief of HR. He's formed a task force that includes teachers, principals, and some community people to take a look at strategies and how we can, as a community, come together, determine how can we fund teacher pay increases. So that's being worked now. A recommendation will be made to the school board sometime in the next few months, January, February timeframe. So one, figure out how we can increase pay. Teachers are also telling me that the work environment needs to be improved. I've worked in different industries. As I mentioned, I was in the military. I was in the corporate world, and rarely did the workforces in those organizations have to go home and spend so much time working after hours just to get the normal things done. In this case, teachers are supporting kids. So we're taking a look. I have another task force comprised of teachers making some recommendations how we can take a look at the workday for teachers, increase planning time so that teachers can have time during the day to collaborate with one another. So we're doing that and looking at other ways to improve the environment. And then in terms of recruitment, we spend a lot of time. Our HR recruiters spend a lot of time on college campuses in K-12. In today's time and age, we have a shortage of minority teachers in the classroom. And so we have some alternative route certification programs that we're reaching out and developing people that did not come up with the intent of being teachers. So for instance, in our schools, we have teacher assistants, and some of them, we've reached out to all of them, 100% of them, to see which ones might be interested in going through a training program. And so we to become certified teachers. And so we will pay for that. We are paying for that training and supporting those teachers. So those are some of the things in terms of retention, and then additional recruitment efforts here. Just collaborating with others in the state and across the country. How can we think about things differently without teachers and not just teachers, but making sure that we have young people that are going into colleges have an interest in coming into to education. And the last thing I would say about this is that I'm really disappointed in some of the erosion of respect for teachers across the country. We have this back and forth with the culture wars. And I think it's having a negative impact on teachers, how that profession is viewed. And we as a society, we need to pay attention to that and recognize that our teachers are the ones that are the greatest respect, I think, in the country.
Got it. And so I definitely want to basically understand you have a lot of things going on, and you have a very, very big task ahead of you. You mentioned that your goal in the next sort of 3 to 5 years is to help with what's called the reading, with our young people getting to the proper reading level. A lot of them are not at the reading level. You had a goal, like a 5-year plan, that you want to address some of those reading level concerns, and you want to make sure that all kids were on a proper reading level in Charleston County School District. That's a strong initiative. During the pandemic, we've had some setbacks with our youth, but our teachers are trying to evolve and sort of to tackle making sure that our kids that may have had some tough times during the pandemic and be coming out of it are able to sort of get back on course. Is there anything in particular that you want to see sort of implemented or changed to make that particular goal of yours of making sure that our kids are competent in the reading level that you want to see moving forward in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yes. So first of all, let me ask Mr. Logan, reading is fundamental to a sound education, and we only have roughly half of our students in 2nd through 8th grade here in Charleston County School District that read on grade level. And then if you break those numbers apart about racial groups, over the last 15 years or so, on average, we only have like 77% of actually 77% of our African American kids read below grade level. Another 70 to 75% of our Hispanic kids read below grade level. So that means when they're going into secondary schools, then they're not really prepared. And so we have some strategies. I'll talk about a couple of them that we're working on. When I talk with elementary school principals, they tell me that we have far too many of our kindergarten students coming into kindergarten not prepared to learn. They don't know their letter sounds. They don't know how to count. They have challenges with engaging with other kids, and so we need to address that early on. And so we have this major initiative to greatly expand early childhood learning for our pre-K students from 6 months up to 4 years of age. So that's taking place 2 weeks ago. In fact, we had a county-wide symposium on early childhood education. We've begun to engage with the faith community to help get them support, to collaborate with them on that support. So that's one thing. And another thing that we're discovering is that many of our teachers, if not most of our teachers, were never taught when they were in college, training how to become teachers. They were never taught how to teach kids how to read. So the state of Mississippi took that on several years ago, and they made tremendous strides in there. I spoke with the state superintendent of education of Mississippi a few months ago, back in the spring, and she laid out some strategies that they used over in Mississippi to address the lack of reading. And when she took over there, that state, Mississippi, was 50th in the country of states in terms of their reading scores. And then just last spring, they were now 35th. So they made tremendous progress. So I know it can be done because it was done over in Mississippi, and we've been engaging with the folks over in Mississippi on how they did it, and we're going to replicate some of that work here.
Absolutely, sir. Final question. A man of faith, you believe in faith to the highest level. Did you ever imagine yourself being superintendent of Charleston County School District, being a military veteran, dealing in the financial sector that you have, and being put as interim superintendent, and then all of a sudden now becoming the permanent superintendent of Charleston County School District? Did it ever come to your mind, like, say, when I came into this, I'm going to be the superintendent of Charleston County School District?
No, not really. It's something it's almost like it's beyond my control. I'm not a visionary person. The vision I'm working on a vision here. I'm working on a vision. It's a clear vision. It's a vision of my mother, who was an educator. My mother was, I took the school board on the 29th of December of last year, decided to ask me to be the superintendent. I called my mother up that night, and she had just turned 93. And so we talked about it. She was, of course, proud mother and that sort of thing. And then, so I took the job on Monday, January 3rd, this past January. On January 5th, I got a call from my sister saying that the medical people had given my mother only a few days to live. And she lived, my home was about 2.5 hours from here driving. And so I drove up on Thursday and then came back Thursday night because I had to work Friday with the intent of going back on Saturday. But around 4:15 Saturday morning, my sister called and said my mother had passed. And so in her passing, I accepted the vision that she had for educating all kids in the state of South Carolina. So I didn't start off with the idea of becoming a superintendent, but it's something that, sort of like this visionary thing. And my mother was really a strong lady of faith. So that's I guess I'm compelled to do this.
Amen. You're compelled to do it. Definitely everybody who's watching, let's keep Mr. Kennedy lifted up in prayer. We know that our leaders have to be lifted up in prayer to be able to fight the tasks they've been fought with. Let's keep our educators, our administration, people across the nation, across the globe in prayer. We want to know that our education is our future. Again, Mr. Kennedy, we want to thank you for coming on the Logan Power Show. I pray heaven's best to you. As you know, I'm rooting for you, and we're rooting that Charleston County School District will be a beacon, not just only in the state of South Carolina, but across the nation. And for those that are watching, hey, let's keep our education at the head of the forefront. Let's keep us lifted up in prayer. That's all the time I got. My name is Calvin, the Logan Power Show, nationwide, worldwide. We love you. We'll see you soon.
All right.
It's the Logan Power Show. Inspirational and motivational. It's the Logan Power Show. Informational to help you grow. Logan Power Show.